Hi, that's me. I got real sorry. I had to restart my let's say Sunday morning, Wednesday morning, because my computer restarted and it's opening up all the web pages. So any of the videos I had up, it's restarting them. So I can't post the other two. I'm gonna move them over to my external hard drive. So I wanted to say that it's the day that I volunteer, and I sometimes wake up at like 5 something, like open my eyes. Oftentimes I hear the traffic. I have a really bad headache all the time, sorry. Like seeing things, seeing circles. I, every time I have symptoms like this, um, the numbness, the tingling, the pain, this not being able to move. I couldn't move the shoulder, and I was just like laying there this morning. I was like, just lift it up, put it on the cold wall, and just like allow it to like get woke up. Since I've been in this car accident, I've been feeling the hell of the injuries, and it is such a nightmare. And someone in a meeting yesterday said that some people called them and whined about something. They're like stopping them and telling them to go find someone who's worse off and call back in 24 hours. Now, I don't know if I have to say like that. Like, I personally feel like sometimes you just need to talk and you need to work it out. And if somebody has a hangnail or they split a fingernail, or like my daughter once, she went with a friend once to get a manicure. I don't know what she got, but it was like chipping. She's like, "Oh, I thought it would last longer." Like that's their um, sadness for the day. And being in the meetings of recovery, it feels like if I like dropped my favorite cup and it broke and somebody else's house burnt down, it's like for me that day, yeah, that was devastating for me um, that day, and somebody could go out and drink over that. And I'm not saying that any person's what's this? I'm not saying like that I'm this person is free to give whatever advice that they want, is what I'm trying to say. But sometimes what we as humans want to say is, is, oh, that's not good enough to whine and cry about. Who am I to say that I can't be a shoulder to cry on? That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to cut all these videos and move them over. And I think, I meant to list some videos, and I haven't. So I have to leave in about 40 minutes. And I just, I talked to somebody else about this. And it's like, it's really hard to get up and go to the hospital and volunteer when you have a lot of stuff to do, or your body is like crazy like mine. And usually once I get there and get going, I feel good. And I come home and I'm not sitting on a pity pot because I get really lonely. And I feel like I talked to someone else, I can't remember who it is. Some of us have been there a lot longer than the minimum requirement of 6 months. And it's like, yeah, it's hard. You're just like, God, I don't want to go. But then you go and you're like, okay, I'm glad I went. And it's really hard to say, it's really hard to say this. I have a really hard time. So thinking about what that person said yesterday, I volunteer a lot, and I frequently what this person was saying, find somebody, go help somebody doing worse than you are. And my problem is this, when I volunteer or help some people, they're usually doing better than I am. It's like, for some reason, I've got myself really low on the totem pole, and I feel like, what is going on? So, yesterday, I was I praying? I was praying, and my mind was saying, do you remember, it was you remember last year you had all of this weird juju vibes coming from the east, and you could really tell what was going on, and some of these days, like 1 to 2 days later, I would receive something in the mail from those people, or I would look on my phone and see a missed call that was blocked, and or a message during the time that I felt anxious. Now, I really don't like posting the videos because I feel really unsafe, and I feel like I need to cut my toenails. I need to file this one. It's I need scissor ones. I hate when you use clippers and you're just clip, clip, and then there's this jagged cricket, and you're just what's the point? I don't know. It's just you're not supposed to cut your toenails like that. You're supposed to cut them like that. I don't know. It's I need to reverse. I feel like when they tell you, it's hard to do that. This purse is getting smushed. Um, I it's really hard for me to say. I have a hard time because I still feel safety issues, and I continue to get out and share things in my life because it's some of the struggles I've gone through, I've never heard anybody else go through it. Now, I am. I've been single for a long time, and I know, you guys would be get rid of that blanket. I don't know if it's the blanket. I have a feeling that it's the blanket that I'm having a really bad allergic reaction to, but my eyes are all, swollen and everything, and I've put on before a Craigslist ad, or dating, whatever you call it, profile, and I got flagged within 5 minutes because I said I was a Christian, and they I said I was a black woman and I was a Christian, so they pretty much flagged me for inappropriate judgment of others, and my listing got taken down, and I was so mad that I went to the forum and tried to talk about it, and I just got shot down. I was like, wow, there's some really nasty people in the world that'll just shoot you down. And it's pretty much time for me to get in the shower and go, so I'm going to weigh in. As soon as let me pause you and move this stuff, and I'll turn my water on and come back. But I still look at Craigslist ads, and there was one guy that I went to respond to, and his ad disappeared really, really fast. It was there. It was on the top, but those are the newer ones. And I went to go respond, and it was gone. It was does not exist. And I was like, oh my god, that was the perfect guy. So I don't know if he was a spam. I don't know if somebody flagged him because he was really good looking. I don't know what happened, but it disappeared really fast. And by the time I got the nerve, in a couple minutes to come back and respond, it was gone. And that's the only time I responded to somebody. And I saw this guy out of this area, maybe a couple hours away. I typed in the word black because a lot of people here don't like black women. And that's in general. I'm I'm not even liked by other blacks. Like, like when I started to surface with friends, like, could start with like, oh, this lady's been working at the same grocery store. I like boycott the store next to me because there's one lady that's really racist, and I was trying to call and complain about it once because it was really, really, really like jacked up one day, something she did to me that was completely humiliating for a lot of people, and I know it was racist. This lady was a jerk, and she was a foreigner, and I'm like reverse racist. I often go through lines of foreigners, or like at New Seasons, I forget which one. There's someone who wears a hijab. I don't even know if she's wearing a hijab because you could wear a scarf just because you wear a scarf. Um, but she had her hair covered with a scarf, and I would see like one other line open, and then the express line, and I would see this lady line completely empty, and there would be like 15 people in the line next to her, which is the standard white American cashier, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I went in that line, and I was like, oh, she looks jolly, and I just walk, and I look around, while she's ringing it up, I look around, and I'm like, there's 15 people in that line. Are they over there? Like, New Seasons people, they do not like to wait in line. These people have their noses in the air, and they're snooty, and they double take me, like, what the heck's she doing in here? And when they double take me, it's so hard, because in reality, it's like, I came off of substance use and homelessness, and into more homelessness after fleeing physical and mental violence. And I was taught after changing in the 80s, going towards health food, I had got connected with somebody who told me about these health food stores. From the outside, they look too fancy, and the people look too snobby. And I noticed when I went in that their prices were comparable to that of a regular grocery store. Even I was in the hood for a while, the prices were lower, and the hood is higher, and the vegetables, people weren't fighting over the fruit and vegetables like they do in these stores, which makes them actually fresher because they have more supply, more stuff coming in and out, which makes it fresh, which is, I like Winco for that reason, like, knock on wood, it stays like that, but, I'm a naturopath physician. I'm trained to help, and I'm legally trained to help people with diet, exercise, wellness, cancer, anything, autism, peds. I'm trained to deliver babies. I just have to get the physical license, and I'm also certified as a doula. And what I don't understand is, it's like I care about my health. I was a full-time athlete. I did sports outside of school, swam a lot, was a skier, snowboarder. I'm very educated, very health conscious. I did years of juicing, um, years of dehydrating, years of making raw food recipes. I wrote a raw food book that I didn't finish that I got a $200 or $100 scholarship for the bookstore for it, and all this stuff. And I feel like if they have my honey and my kale or my sweet potato raw chips, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go where I know where to get it, because the other stores will have this stuff. They'll have closeout, they'll have sales, and then they'll close it out, and then you're like, oh my god, they don't sell it anymore, I freak. For some reason, in the Fred Meyer, everything they have, it's either got coconut or exposed to coconut, which for some reason, this stuff here has coconut sugar, but it's either got coconut or rice in their raw food stuff. And even the raw food stuff I got yesterday had maple syrup. I'm like, this is so not raw. I'm like, I feel like they shouldn't be allowed to put that on the label, but personally, I have a degree in agriculture and natural resource communications. They can put whatever the FDA lets them put on there. They could say that it's vegetarian and still have freaking meat in it for all I know. Depends. Like, I'm not saying that they do that. That was just an example. You know, it just, people read the fine print and they take advantage of what they can. That's how people run businesses. So, I I earn no money in my business. And I was supposed to push pause. I just got an email from somebody, and it didn't go to my personal email account. So I missed the email, and it was sent a couple weeks ago, and I felt like a jerk. And it was for minority and small business owners, women business owners. There's 2 different ones I'm signing up for, and there's 3 choices. There's disabled, there's women, and there's minorities, and I'm trying to sign up. And they're like, oh, you established your company in 2014. I'm like, dude, I graduated. It looks like I established it with the state. I registered with the state 2014, and it looks like a month before I graduated. Yeah, it was like 6 weeks before I graduated. Our business teacher told us to get the ball rolling. So when you graduate, all you have is get your license and sign up with insurance if you're going to take insurance. And they're like, even while you're waiting for your boards, go rent a building, go look at buildings. Like, look at buildings in advance, but really be serious about signing. And people took chances. Some people I know, and they rented a building or a room before they even got their board results. I went back to school for 2 years after I graduated in 2014, and I knew I was in school, and I chose to take so I took my national board exams, but I didn't take the state ones. You can take them all in the same week, but I decided to take the national ones at once, and then take the other ones afterwards. And they offer the national ones twice a year. They offer the other ones 4 times a year. So that's what I basically did. I said, you know what? I was so overwhelmed. I had right after the first test, I got in a car accident, and so then I had to go in October. So right when I got the results that I passed. When you take it separately, you have to prove that you passed. You can't sign up you can't sign up a week before you get your results. You have to send proof that you actually passed. So that's what I did. And then I passed my state test for Oregon in 2014. Still, the same year I graduated, same year I took the other test. But they say, so like, say I was a resident or something, I need to be licensed. Then they would want you to be licensed October, November. And they prorate your first year. I don't know the fees. So, say the fees are like $500 a year, they'll prorate it to like $200 or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But your first year, I'm such a cheapskate. Your first year licensed. Here's the bill. Your first year license, I'm just gonna weigh in. Your first year license, they waive your CE, which is, I thought it was 60 for the past 2 years. I thought it was 60. I guess I probably end up with way too much stuff anyway, but it's 50. Oh shoot, I was gonna go through all these emails. I'm gonna type in wait and come back. So, sorry, I just like woke up and I'm like, actually, I woke up like over an hour ago. So it was, anyways, so I got licensed. What they said is, unless you really need it, you're not gonna get your license till like, Thanksgiving's always the end of November. So they're like, I think sometimes you take a test in a smaller classroom, they get your results back faster. They're like very first boards, the first time I took was like so many weeks I had to wait. So 1, 8, 3, 4. And anyways, so like let's just say did I take the test? Yeah, I took the test in October. Why did I take it in November? And so by the end, they're like, you're not going to get your license till the end of November, the beginning of December 2014. You can if you really need to work. you have a job, you need to work for like 4 weeks. But we highly recommend you request us to send your license January 2015. So I said, yeah, I'll do 2015. I would have done the prorated. I started working, but I had just got in a car accident, and stuff hit the fan. I don't know what it was. I can't even hardly remember. It was so bad. And I ended up, like, really thinking I don't want to pay. Everyone was paying for the CE. I was like, I don't want to pay for 50 hours, 60 hours a year of CE classes. And then, because basically your first year wave would be that month, December of 2014. And your next year would be your first year. So for me, my first year was 2015, so that year got waived. So when I reapplied for my license the next November, they send out the application. I end up having that be my waived year. I still listed my CE, but I needed this 2016 to be my first year. So that was last year that I had the piece I've showed you before, the sheet with all the listings. I was printing all the certificates, which I felt stupid printing the certificates. What's scary is I just really want to trust in an electronic form and the computer form of stuff. I had a lot of stuff lost, and I don't know. I want to trust in it because printing stuff, putting in paper, not having all the paper, having some of the paper, I think you have all the paper, then you end up with this clutter, then you end up with all this ink and paper you use. But in my mind, I'm also like, dude, I've had so much stuff lost that those paper copies were like a lifesaver, and they also were organized like this. So I could, like, if they audited me, I could just pull it right out and freaking fax that whole stack to them and be like, done and done. I think the biggest thing is, I think you have to save it for like 7 years or 5 years, some ridiculous amount of time. My biggest thing is, like, the websites I use, if I accidentally close down my account or I wipe out my thing or if something happens, I will not have a record of it, and my computer is not being backed up on this because there's not enough space. I basically need like a 3 terabyte hard drive. Yeah, that's literally what I need, is a 3 terabyte hard drive. I think this is a 2 terabyte, and I can't even save anything on it except for individual files. Actually, my backup hard drive is somewhere over there. I'm gonna go turn my water on and come back.